So I didn't want to be an ignorant person when it came to this whole speaking on Charlie Kirk and his politics. So what I decided to do was to look at some of his videos. And I hate to say this. No, I don't. I don't hate to say this. A lot of his talking points, I actually agreed with them. And I know that's kind of like taboo for me to say, especially as a black woman. But I am a conservative. And I think a lot of people, a lot of black people are conservative in their views. Um, we just, for some reason, want to affiliate with the Democratic Party. The reason why I wanted to be a part of the Democratic Party was because I wanted to be accepted by other black people. And as I get older and as I'm raising a family of my own, I don't care about what the black community thinks as a whole. I don't care. I really don't. Especially after seeing a lot of liberal and black people celebrate the assassination of this 31-year-old man. I didn't really appreciate his talking points for the videos I've seen. For example, there was this one debate he was having, and he had a lot of debates with like liberal people, left-leaning people. Charlie Kirk, white man, and he was debating a young white woman in a college. And somehow, in some twisted way, as most conservatives do, they just started talking about the black community, all willy-nilly. And I really don't understand how or why they started talking about black people. Because the conversation started where the woman was saying how, she grew up in a single mom, environment. Her father wasn't there. I don't know how, I can't quite remember how it twisted into black people make up 13% of the population, yet commit 55% of the crime. And boy, does he love to parrot that. But it's statistical data and it's true. And this is the thing. I never appreciated, especially white conservatives, always talking about what's wrong with the black community. Some way they always got to talk about how the black women are on welfare and the black men abandon their children and how we make up the majority of the prison population and we're criminals, all these different things. And although the statistical data shows these things to be true, I'm in a conflict within myself. Like, I know that I am an outlier when it comes to that data. Having grown up in a hood and stuff like that, and even to this very day, like even when I get on live, people accuse me of talking white. I've even had people call me white because I don't speak any Ebonics, or I will concede to the fact that the way that I enunciate, the fact that I have words in my vocabulary like enunciate, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but the way that I speak, the cadence in which I speak, I do concede to the fact that that's not the typical black girl from Charlotte talk. But I wasn't raised like the typical black girl in Charlotte. I wasn't raised like the typical black kid. I am a descendant of black people who, they were born within wedlock. They owned property. They hated welfare, hated it. In contrast, I have a lot of family members and I grew up with a lot of black kids who Their mom is always trying to have a baby so she can get another 18 years on Section 8, and their dad is in and out of jail. And some of them, they don't even know who their father is. A lot of them, their parents were teenagers. Even I had teen parents in my bloodline, but they got married, So when I was younger, I used to really struggle with identifying with Black people, because it was like when we would all sit down and talk about things we were going through, I couldn't relate. My mom, she cooked, she cleaned, she had a job, but she was still submissive to, my stepdad, so it wasn't like she was like strong and independent or whatever. And she made good money, but she never treated my stepdad like, oh, you're less than. Now, I will say this. Even when I went on that rant about my stepdad, legally speaking, he was not my stepfather. And there are reasons for that, but this is another video. I couldn't relate to this whole not having a man in my life. And the only reason why my stepdad was in the picture was because my biological father was deceased. Which goes back to the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I'm in conflict because, my father was violently murdered at the hands of another Black man. 2 other Black men, to be specific, took my father's life. So it's like, I've always had this issue with being a conservative, but then not being socially accepted in the Black community. And after watching people react to Charlie Kirk's death, I am going to pick a side. I am no longer going to try to extend an olive branch or be understanding or be relatable. I don't care about the Black card. You can have the Black card. I'm not a baby mama. I didn't grow up in a single parent household. I don't even like rap music. I appreciate hip hop, but just, mumble rap, all that, I don't care about none of that. I don't eat pork. I don't eat shellfish. I can't go to your crab bowls. I'm not interested. I don't want to go to your churches where, everybody's shouting and rolling around on the floor and your life is still in shambles no matter what. And I mean, right now, the Black church is full of gay men and single, upset Black women. I don't want to be there. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in your woe is me, slavery did this to me, discrimination movies. I don't care about that. Because I thought all this crying about how things are so unfair to Black people meant that we still had a shred of humanity in us. Like celebrating somebody being murdered. This guy, Charlie Kirk, again, I didn't agree with a lot of his talking points. I didn't care about how at every turn he would go for the jugular when it came for race. I didn't appreciate it, but his followers did. And that's good. That's good to have that. Just like you have people on the other end of the spectrum. Like, I learned a little bit more about Charlie Kirk before he passed through Tariq Nasheed. And Tariq, he's, FBA, pro-Black and all that stuff. And I respect what he's doing too. But his followers, though, I really don't care. His followers, the FBA crowd, would usually treat me like they call them tethers, or they would say, if you disagree with them, there was another content creator, and he's quick to sue people if you use his name, so I'm not going to use it, but he always talk about, how being Black is beautiful and wonderful, and then being white is destructive and evil. And I find it very appalling that Black people can say these types of things, but Charlie Kirk couldn't say it from his perspective. And I'm starting to see a shift to where conservatives are under attack. Like, I've been under attack my whole life. Starting out, I got picked on because my parents were married. Then I went through this nasty phase where kids were trying to tell me that I don't have a father just like them because my dad is dead, but their dad is absent. I find it really funny that when I talk to other groups of people and they learned that my father was deceased for the majority of my life, they see that as me being fatherless. But when I talk to Black people, they see it as, oh, I didn't have a daddy either. And it's like, no. You have a dad. He's just not in your life. There's a difference. And boy, did I get in trouble for that. And just recently in my adult life, I got into some trouble for saying that, but it's true. And that's another thing about Charlie Kirk. His daughters, they don't have a father. And people are celebrating this. That is sick. It's very sick. People talking about white on white crime. I'm sorry, it's not the same. It's not the same as black on black crime. It's not the same. This was political violence. And people are glorifying it. And people on the left, in particular, specifically Black people, they have shocked me. This is the very last shock. I'm tired of the single parenthood. I'm tired of the obesity. I'm tired of the homosexuality being glorified. I'm tired of it being glorified in the churches. I'm tired of the stanky attitudes for Black women and they're like crabs in a bucket. I'm tired of prison culture being glorified amongst Black men. I'm tired of the whole down low movement. I'm sick of all that stuff. Like, to be Black is like, to claim Blackness is, it's like, it's to claim ignorance. It's to claim stupidity. This is the thing that I really hate. Oh, I'm Black, I can't be racist. I hate that more than anything. I hate that more than anything. There's no difference between, a Black person that's always talking about some anti-Black racism and a white person that calls you an N-word to your face. There's no difference between the two in my eyes. Now, again, there are even conservative right-wingers that I listen to. It bothers me when they talk about how the Black community is in shambles. It bothers me because they have their views from the outside looking in, but for me, from the inside looking out, there's some truth to what they say. And although they're insensitive, they have a right to be, in my opinion, because we shouldn't be doing this to each other. As Black people, we should not be killing each other at the rate that we're killing each other. We should not be selling drugs. We should not be glorifying hating each other. We shouldn't. And when somebody white, specifically a white male, stands up on the stage and say it, he's automatically considered like the bad guy, and I think that's wrong. Celebrating a man's life being taken for having his own opinions. And let me just say this about Charlie Kirk. He was cool. Like, he was cool. He wasn't nasty. Like, people talked about him like he was like Sean Hannity or something like that. No disrespect to Sean Hannity. But, and then there's this other guy who's supposed to be funny on Fox News. I can't remember what his name is, but, Fox News has a lot of them like cheesy folks. But one thing that I appreciated about Charlie Kirk is he would always talk to people. He would level with them as much as he possibly could. And even if he felt like he did not move that person that he was talking to, he was not nasty. He did not use words like, I know like there's a lot of conservatives that like to use certain buzzwords like, left wing demons, or they say things like, you know, the I heard this one conservative guy say, these black people, the majority of them, we allowed them to walk amongst us. That type of vitriol like is disgusting. But like I said before, you still get that same nastiness on the other side too. There are black people, like I literally saw a racial slur on a thumbnail that was made by a black man who got into a heated debate with a white man. And I'm not comfortable with saying it. I'm not comfortable with saying white racial slurs or any racial slur for that matter. But the fact that black people can use racial slurs against white people is not okay. And I feel like Charlie Kirk was one of those reasonable conservatives who was willing to talk. And even if you did not even if you disagreed with him, you could talk. And so now that he has been murdered in cold blood and people are celebrating this, and I have to say, black people in particular, I thought that we were decent as a whole, given all that we've been through in this country. The very thing we criticize everybody else for and how they treat us. I feel like the fact that we are celebrating this man's death is giving everybody justification for how they view us. And I'm gonna stop saying us, because again, I'm giving up my black card. I'm giving it up. I don't want it. I'm not interested. Shout out to Anton Daniels. He was talking about how he don't want to go to the cookout. I've been not invited to the cookout. I don't eat pork. And I'm the type of person, if you grilling pork chops and you put my chicken on the other side of the grill, I don't want it. I'm not interested. I don't eat it. Again, I'm not going to your crab bowl. I'm not going to your chitlin strut. I don't want to be a part of your sororities. I'm not interested in none of it. Because this is another thing too. Growing up, I hated how, as a black girl, I had to be what they call fast. I had to either want a boyfriend or I had to want a girlfriend. I hated that construct. Growing up, I was into like computers and music theory. And, eventually I got into classical visual art because my parents exposed me to this. And even though my biological father was deceased, when I would go on his side of the family, I would sit amongst my family members on my father's side who were college professors. And I had a late uncle who passed away, who was a biochemist. The conversations we would have as black people, it was funny because they forecasted this. They were like, illegitimacy is starting to creep up in the black community. And now the black community is not going to be seen as us who are trying to, they look at us like the Cosby's type. Us who are trying to raise our families and just live an honest life. Now there are so many more of you who are products of men who are in jail. So many more of you who are women who are having children out of wedlock. And now it's becoming a trend. Now it's starting to be cute. So now here it is, 2025. I feel like a lone woman out here because I'm married to my husband and we're raising our children together. We don't smoke. We don't drink excessive alcohol. We're very careful about what we expose our children to. We don't even we don't even put our children in certain zip codes. We don't even let them play at certain parks and things like that, because we've had such a nasty experience with people who look like us, because we can't relate to each other. We don't live the same. We don't think the same. And even in this short time of dealing with Charlie Kirk's assassination, it's like it's starting to draw a thicker wedge between us and the people that we're no longer going to identify with. I am Black African American on paper. I'm an anomaly within my community, but I'm so sick and tired of what a Black community is right now. I'm so sick and tired of it. And seeing so many Black people celebrate this man being murdered just because he says things like, you guys have a high crime rate. Yeah, he says it in his own way. It's true. The reasons why, growing up, I was in some environments where the right place at the right time, I could have got jammed up just for being around the wrong crowd. But I didn't. It's a lot of Black kids that aren't so lucky, but the same Black kids who got in trouble were the ones who continuously was around that group of people. I decided to remove myself. And I made the mistake of believing that if I remove myself, maybe the Black people that I love will grow out of it. Maybe I can bring them with me. Maybe they will get clean and sober, or maybe they will stop being in and out of jail one day, or maybe they will stop having children out of wedlock. They can't take care of the first one, the second one, the third one. Why are you coming with a fourth, fifth, or sixth one? The type of stuff that I'm talking about is the type of stuff that right-wing conservatives talk about. The things that I am sick of are the things that they talked about. Charlie Kirk was a very cool guy. The way he approached these subjects, the way that he picked the brains of these college students, it was not condescending. It was not browbeating. And the sad thing about what I'm saying right now is I know so many Black people that will listen to the way that I talk and the vocabulary that I have and go, oh, you trying to be white. No, I'm trying to be what Black people used to be before they descended into what they are now. I refuse to believe that I am the last of a dying breed. I refuse to believe that being Black and conservative is becoming extinct. I don't believe that. But I do believe that there are so many liberal Black people that can't tell their up from down. And now things are getting so toxic to where if Black people like me don't make a clear stance on who we are and stop dibbing and dabbing in things that ain't got nothing to do with us, we're going to be the ones who suffer. Not the ones that everybody is always talking about that's doing the same old stuff, that's feeding the prison systems, that's always on welfare and all this other stuff. They gonna keep crashing out. That's what they do. But people like me, I feel like Charlie Kirk's assassination is a turning point. It's a pivotal point for us. And I haven't found the group that I identify with yet. But every day I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And eventually, it may not be a group of Black people who think like me, who don't judge me as some kind of outsider because I'm not ignorant and poor and want to stay dusty all my life. Because I hate to say this, but it just feels like that's what Black people want you to be. They want you to be single, miserable, struggling, fat, and smelly, and on drugs. I'm not interested. And I certainly don't want my children around it. And my husband, he worked so hard to get out of it. And we're not going to be a part of it. We're just not. I'm sad for this country that it has become so radicalized that people are okay with a man being murdered. I'm going to have to clip this up. With a man being unalived. I have to say unalived. Whatever, man.